All right. What's up, Bachelor Ballers? That sounded stupid. All right. I'm never going to say that again. I'm going to keep that in to remind myself never to say that again. But that sounded really stupid. What's up, Bachelor Squad? The Ryan and Jacob Show is back with the BachPod episode 3, where we are definitely not sponsored by Twisted Tea, but maybe one day. America's most lethal weapon at the time, I think. So I'm going to pass it on to you. Let's get us started on this wild episode. What'd you think of the opening here?
So the opening, we have the group of girls clustered around the couches talking about the Sarah incident.
Oh, yeah.
And we have, of course, the bigger person in Katie trying to talk some sense into these girls, but they were reaming.
What's Katie? What's Katie?
She's a G.
She's a G.
She's a double G.
But G.
And it didn't take long for Victoria to say some snarky comment. I think that happened like just really quick on that discussion. I didn't write down what she said, but it was some snarky, and then her stock kind of just went down with that.
I have written it down because
let's hear it.
I picked that apart like it was my job. Victoria, quote unquote, said, "The trash took itself out."
That's what she said.
Oh, my God. No, it didn't, because you're still sitting there, Victoria, and your profession, 4 episodes in, still says queen. All right? The trash did not take itself out because you're still here. And oh my God, like you were just saying at the end of the last episode that you were a little bit kind of starting to like Victoria, but if the beginning of this episode didn't completely wipe that out, I don't even know what to say. Please tell me that you're not still on that train.
Oh, no, I'm not on that train. Victoria's still a bitch. She's not fun. Well, she's still a bitch. But you got to admit, last episode, she was a little bit better, and then she just kind of, the first 2 minutes of the show, she kind of went down on the stock. So
stock watch, she is plummeting. And before you get going on the next part, I gotta say there was one more quote I had written down, because when she was arguing with Katie said something about her being toxic, and she literally said, "Katie, I'm not toxic."
Yes.
My mind exploded, because if there is if you go to the dictionary and you look up the word toxic, Victoria's picture is sitting there right next to the word. Like there is nothing else. There's no description. It's just Victoria's picture sitting next to the word. Like, wow. I like, that's all I have to say is just wow.
Right. And I don't know, this happened, I think, later in the episode, but she actually sat down with Katie and wanted Katie to apologize to her because she was being like, I think that happened a little later. I think that happened during the second group date, because I think they were both on the first group date, or vice versa. But we can get in that later. But the episode actually started with no actual activity date. And if you guys remember what I said last week on the podcast, is I thought there would be no date at all. But they did have a cocktail date. That was it. So I don't know if they had a pre-date or not, but they didn't show it. And it was pretty boring, I guess. I don't know. It was just the cocktail date where he was talking to girls. He talked to my girl Piper, and she showed him pictures. And
the pink cam, dude.
Yeah, the pink camera.
What's that?
Right. So I don't know what the pictures were or anything, but she had that up her sleeve. And then Chelsea was the one who got the rose, and she got a kiss. And they really talked about how about her hair, mostly, on how she had trouble cutting all her hair out. She actually looked she looked pretty no matter what, but she actually looked really pretty with hair, and that was her, I guess, opening up to Matt.
Yeah, that was a huge combo. I'm sure a tough one to have there. And like you said, showed him a picture of her back when she had hair, and I gotta say, dude, shaving your head, whether you're a girl or a guy, is a pretty tough look to pull off. Chelsea pulls it off very well. I think she looked good with hair, but I think she damn near looks better without it. And to that point, great teeth. Has there ever been anyone on this show that doesn't have great teeth? I don't know if I've ever seen anyone where I'm like, wow, their teeth look horrible. Like everybody on the show that I think I've ever seen has phenomenal teeth. But I mean, that's nonetheless. I did want to go back to the point where you said last BachPod episode, you said there would be no group date. Horrible call. You want to call me out for my terrible calls on Sarah? We're not going to let you slip by. You said no doubt in your mind that there would be no group date, and they would go straight to a rose ceremony. Terrible call, maybe the worst call we've ever seen. I don't know.
I did not say that. I said this was probably a really risky call, and then I was just going to throw the risk out there. I was kind of right because they didn't have the first half of the date, so I was half right if you want to say that. But nonetheless, I was wrong. Gave the rose to Chelsea for opening up to him and stuff like that. And I think I think they go back to the mansion and they just kind of hang out and they start getting one-on-one, and Victoria gets a one-on-one time with him. I think this is pre-rose ceremony. So they're all in there getting drinks and, talking to Matt. And Victoria goes in and talks to Matt in outside on the patio, and then Chris Harrison comes in, and here's the curveball that we get this episode.
Got to talk about it.
Get the curveball in, and he tells Matt that there's 5 new girls waiting for him in the limo that's coming up, and people's jaws drop. I guess I think I knew this is the thing. I think I knew before the season started. I think I saw a couple previews. I try not to watch previews, but I think I saw a couple of these. And I mean, what'd you think about that, right?
Well, I think I did mention this in our first episode because at the end of episode 1 of The Bachelor, they usually do the look ahead with some clips of upcoming events. And I think the new girl thing was definitely in that. So I definitely knew it was coming, but I mean, I got to ask you first before I go into what I thought about this. Did you think Sarah was going to be one of the girls?
I think they hyped him. Every girl thought that when they were thinking oh, who could this be? This has to be Sarah coming back. I honestly still think we see Sarah sometime again but I didn't think it was going to be that soon. I honestly thought that it wasn't Sarah, and I think we'll see her again. But I didn't think it was going to be that soon. So no.
Yeah, like I said, I did see a preview at the end of, I think, episode 1 where they showed that this was going to be happening. So I knew at some point during the season there were going to be a few more girls that showed up. I can 100% tell you I did not think it was going to be this soon. But yeah, so we got 5 new girls, and we've been talking about this all season about how we can't even remember the names of half the girls that are already in the show. And now we have 5 more names that we have to remember. I don't know, I think, any of them, except maybe Michelle, because I think she got a one-on-one, which we can get into later. I think that was who got that. But yeah, so we get 5 new girls. They come in. It's awkward as hell. One of their names is Ryan, which is sick. Yeah. Great name. But we've got all these new girls coming in, and guess who is the saltiest about it?
Victoria.
Nope, not Victoria.
Victoria and Anna.
Anna.
Yeah.
There is something I must say, and I'm starting to find a lot of pleasure in seeing Anna get extremely salty about things that are happening. She never gets time. She can't express herself to Matt because she never gets time. And now these new girls show up, and oh my God, was she pissed. And I was eating it up because there is nothing better to me at this point than seeing Anna get salty about something. And I don't know if you saw that too, but what do you think about the new girls showing up?
Yeah, Anna was definitely, I have in my notes, Anna and Victoria was the saltiest of the group. And the 5 girls, I mean, I have all 5 of their names because I wrote them down, but you got Brittany, who was the first one that came out and just right away just started tonguing them down Noah.
Man. What a wild
And then you have Michelle. Yeah, then you have Michelle. Then you have Ryan, who I wrote down. That's probably going to be your new favorite.
It's not.
And then
but
Kimberly. And then Catalina, who came in with the crown and I think she was Miss Pageant or something like that. And then right when she came in, you knew there was going to be a thrift with Victoria and her. And this bitch takes her crown off of her head and puts it on herself. Victoria, that is. I almost couldn't watch that part because I was so cringed. Like I almost like just went to the bathroom or something because I was like, I don't know if I can watch this because that was just so cringy.
Bro, the audacity of you to do that to somebody. And she said,
Right.
"Oh, actually, I'm the queen." Like, what are you talking about? Like, this girl actually had a reason to have the crown on. She won a fucking beauty pageant. You tout yourself as queen. You have it as your profession. I swear to God, that's not anyone's profession unless you live in England. There's one person whose profession that is. Like, what are you doing? You took it on. She took it off her head. She put it on her own head. What is going on?
It was so cringy. Like I said, I almost turned it off. But yeah, Anna made a huge deal about not spending time with them, and it kind of was a kind of a preemptive of how she was going to act throughout the rest of the episode because she just started being like she just started going downhill after that. But these girls,
she is literally a salt mine. Like that
yes.
girl, like anything that happens, she gets extremely salty.
And there was a scene towards the end of the episode where her and Victoria were actually bonding. And, if you're bonding with Victoria, you have no shot and nobody's really going to like you.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Dude, that is classic Mean Girls, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Classic I think Mean Girls.
I think somebody said I think it was Katie said Victoria was acting like a mean girl this whole time, or Regina I think she said that to like a new girl.
Regina George and Gretchen Wieners, Victoria and Anna, synonymous.
Right.
Oh my God.
I agree with that. And you would think, I don't know if Matt just doesn't see Victoria's side here, but I don't know. Cause I honestly, I think I told Cass when they were actually doing the rose ceremony, I was like, wow, I think Victoria actually might go home because there are these new girls that are a lot prettier than Victoria. I think it's maybe Victoria's time to like get off the show. And then like towards the middle of the rose ceremony, she gets a rose. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like this was her time to like get the hell out of the show, but the producers weren't going to let that happen. So Victoria got a rose. Anna also got a rose. The three girls that didn't get a rose were Kimberly, which was one of the newer girls. And she was the Asian one who had a really weird outfit on. I don't know what her outfit was really doing, but she went home.
We got to be real for a second. She wasn't very attractive.
She looked a little older. I don't know if they gave her age, but she did look a little older than probably what her age said. But yeah, I didn't think she was that attractive. I think out of the newer girls, I think Brittany was the most attractive, but I didn't like none of the newer girls really like stood out that way. But Kimberly went home. Kayla went home.
And I gotta say, you sniped that. You called that last episode. You said that Kayla was gonna go home, and she did. So you know what? I gotta give credit where credit's due. Good call.
Well, I didn't say Kayla was going home. I said Kaylee was going home, which was the other girl going home.
Oh yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Who was Kayla?
Yes. Kayla was the. She had like a royal blue dress on.
Yeah.
She didn't really get
with these names, and they're similar. I can't even remember anyone's name. And then you got two names, Kaylee and Kayla.
Yeah.
All right, well, Kaylee. Wait. Yeah. Kaylee went home. You sniped it. Good call.
Yeah, I shout out Chewy to put him out of his bracket. I don't know if he did, but hopefully he did because he might have won $1,000 or so. So you're welcome. But also with the name thing, when I know last episode we kept getting Serena and Sydney mixed up. And there was a Sydney on the show. She just got booted, I think, the second episode.
At the beginning,
I wasn't going crazy when I said Sydney, but there was a Sydney. So that just kind of made me feel better. But that was the rose ceremony. I don't know. I don't have a girl that I think is going to go home next week for you, Chewy. So I might have to just text you individually. But do you have any girls that you think is going to go home?
I don't know if I see any going home, but God, I kind of hope Anna goes home because wow, she just is the worst. And I got to say, I wrote this down because I thought it was pretty noteworthy, but that new girl, Brittany, right? That's her name. Actually got a rose before Anna did. And she was not pleased. And oh my goodness, did that make me happy, like super deep down. But I also wanted to say, the girl from Ethiopia, right? Maggie, I think is her name.
Maggie. Mm-hmm.
She gets a rose like pretty early in the ceremony, but like I never see them like talking. I never see them bonding. I never see them hanging out, having a good conversation, but she keeps getting roses. That kind of you know what? Maybe that's who I think goes home next week because I don't know what kind of bond they have.
I actually took a note. I kind of lower on my page. I actually said Maggie and Jacinia were getting really no FaceTime with Matt, and they were in the first date, so the date that was just the night cocktail date.
Right.
And Maggie and Jacinia were the only two that didn't actually get one-on-one time with him. So I guess if I had to pick somebody, you pick Maggie, I'd pick Jacinia, just because of the fact that we haven't really seen too much of them.
Right, and I just don't know. I just don't know what kind of bond they have, and if they really have much of a connection, because it's like they never talk. Like, what is it there that he's feeling? But before we get too far out of the conversation with the new girls, I did have a question because I was kind of debating this in my own head. With the new girls that showed up, who do you think it would be worse for mentally? Like the girls that are already there that have spent all this time, right? They've spent 3 weeks, whatever, with Matt. They formed their connection. It's great. Or these girls that have to show up knowing that there's already a group of girls that have this connection and they got to show up and go, like start from scratch. They got nothing to work off of. And they have all these girls giving them this death stare, like just pissed that they've shown up. Like I'm sure it wasn't their choice to be in the second wave. Who do you think it would be worse for?
Probably the newer girls, just because of that hostility that everyone showed. Like every single girl there was giving like the new girls the cold shoulder, except maybe Katie. But like even Katie like didn't like go up to them and say, "Oh, hey, my name is Katie. Like, this is what I do. What do you do? Blah blah blah." Like nobody was talking to him, and especially with Brittany being the first one and just like tonguing him down, and like Victoria and like 4 other girls were like seeing in that window, and then of course they run and like, oh my god, they just like kissed and like. And that had to be at least a little hurtful, just saying like, "Oh, this new girl just came in and kissed my man." So I think it was worse for Brittany in particular, just because she was the first girl to come in and she got caught pretty much making out with Matt at first. But I think it'd be the hardest for the new girls. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does suck for both parties, but. Yeah, for the new girls coming in, like they not only have to, like I said, work from scratch and start that bond from nothing, but they also have to deal with the fact that there's twice as many of them that have been there for 3 weeks, at least twice as many, that are now being incredibly hostile to them, which, I mean, I get it. I do get it. But at the end of the day, they're there. And to just be an asshole about it, that just kind of shows, I feel like, your character. I don't know if Matt sees that, but I feel like that kind of shows a little bit of your character. And if you're going to be just a complete asshole about that, that kind of speaks volumes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to your point, like these new girls have to form this connection, but it really did not take Michelle long to form that connection. I mean, just right off the limo, she was talking to Matt and they seemed to hit it off. And then of course she gets the date card and you can just say everyone was pissed. Like every single person in that room was pissed. And I think they focused on Piper saying like, "Oh, new girls don't deserve to get a date card. I've been here for 3 weeks," giving that spiel. And I was like, and like that date, they hit it off. Like they did so much on that date. They went, what did they do? They went, paragliding or whatever you call that, hang gliding or whatever you call that. Yeah. That looked fun. That looked, and then it just seemed like they were hitting it off. Like they did not skip a beat. Like those 3 weeks that she wasn't there did not even matter. And I think she is going to be a person to watch throughout this season.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wrote down that, I mean, she's kind of looking like an early fave. There's absolutely no way she's going home, at least anytime soon, because that day was pretty steamy. They rode in a hot air balloon. Like, and I can tell you right now, I've never been in a hot air balloon, but if I was on a hot air balloon day, holy shit, dude. That is, I mean, that's primetime romance right there. It doesn't get more romantic than a hot air balloon ride. I know I talked about Sarah and her two-seater plane ride, but I mean, they took it to a whole new level with the hot air balloon ride. You're putting your life on the line, and that is just absolutely, I mean, just a beautiful moment. Just a beautiful moment. So yeah, I think Michelle's looking like an early fave right off the bat. Nobody's happy about it, especially Anna. The salt is just pouring out of her.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other group date with kind of everybody, and they bring in Ben Higgins to, I don't know, be Matt's friend for the day, I guess. And he says he sets up this obstacle course. What were your thoughts about that day?
That was weird. I had to look up, like, I knew who Ben Higgins was, but I didn't know, like, I wasn't really watching too much with him, so I had to kind of look him up and see who he was. And yeah, he did not really add anything to the episode. But that group date was very, very weird. Very, it was different, I guess. I don't know if there's a better word to put it than different, but the girls went all out. And who won that? Was that Mari who won the race or whatever it was?
It was Mari who won, yes. And it was definitely Maggie who lost. I don't think she ever got out of the pumpkin. Sources actually say that maybe even to this day, she's still paddling. I don't know. But she was not great at that. I don't know how she even made it to the cocktail party afterwards. I mean, at the end of the scene, she's still paddling. Everyone else is done. And then next thing you know, they're all in the cocktail party at the end. But
who was the girl that like hid Brittany's tail? Was that Mari who hid? Somebody like saw
Anna, dude. Who
was it? Anna? Okay, I thought it might have been Mari.
That she couldn't find her acorn, but she's like, well, but I found Brittany's and I hid that shit. Like, where'd she hide it? Did she put? She had it in her own squirrel suit or something. Like, where? Everyone's looking in this pile of leaves. Did she like just toss that, or like where'd she hide it?
Yeah, that was funny because like then Brittany comes in, like has like one of her cutaway scenes, like I could not find my acorn anywhere. Like, yeah, well, it probably wasn't there because Anna probably like ate that shit or something. Like, I don't know what happened with it. But
she swallowed that bitch.
Yeah, she just. But then you could really that kind of like that was leading up to the tension that really happens with Anna and Brittany towards the end of the episode. But yeah, Mari, did Mari win anything for winning that? What did she win anything?
I'm not sure. I really don't think so. I mean,
yeah, like she didn't win like a one-on-one.
Right, like it just kind of showed her winning, and then we kind of cut to the end there.
Right.
I mean, back to the cocktail party.
I feel like you should win at least like something. Like I don't know what you should win, but you should win something.
Maybe we see something in the next episode where they call back to that victory. Like, Mari, you won this. You get the. I don't know. We'll see if she gets a one-on-one next episode, but I don't know.
Yeah. So like, and then it goes to the actual cocktail dates, and I'm not too sure who. Bree got there. Okay, so Bree gets the rose, and he spends time with Anna. And he kind of gets a connection with Anna, don't you think? Or was that really?
Well, he spends a little bit of time with Anna. They have some convo, but who other than Brittany shows up to interrupt their conversation?
Yeah. And I remember this.
Yeah. So then Brittany is like, "Wait a minute, and we've seen this situation before." Brittany's like, "Wait a minute, I think I need a little bit more time." And Brittany's like, okay, wait. Anna said, I need a little bit more time. So Brittany's like, okay. And then she goes and right by that glass door, and she's just peering out at him. And then you just tell during the conversation after that, Anna is just like, can't stop looking over there at the door. Oh my goodness. I was crying laughing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of forgot about this cocktail hour. I don't have too many notes on it, but I do remember that now that you say it. That
So
was a
funny.
very funny, like, cause I remember just like Brittany coming in the first time and Anna was just like, I'm actually gonna keep him for 5 more minutes. Can you go somewhere? And she's like, yeah. And then she goes like maybe 10 yards away, just kind of glaring at him. And you could just see Anna just staring at Brittany while he's talking to Matt. Yeah, that was crazy. But I feel like he did kind of hit it off a little bit more with Anna. And then he talked to Brittany. But the kicker was Bree. So Bree had the first ever one-on-one date. And they were really just kind of talking about, oh, Bree hasn't really seen too much of Matt since that one-on-one date. And they continued to vibe. Like, they didn't really skip a beat for those couple weeks, I guess you can say, in between their one-on-one date. And they really did not seem like they skipped a beat, and they had a flowy conversation. And she ends up with the rose. And they kind of did like Matt kind of said, oh, I appreciate Anna being open and honest with me, and I appreciate Brittany doing this and this.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, but I only have one rose, I'm gonna give it to Bree. I was like, that was kind of a weird like come up to like choose Bree. I thought he was gonna pick one of those two girls, Brittany or Anna, and he picks Bree, and I was like, that was kind of a weird way to kind of put that. I'd be kind of mad if I were the two girls that he said.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm almost certain that they're at one of the other cocktail parties, he did the same thing where he like
Maybe.
called out 2 other people, but then was like, but I only got 1 rose and it's going to neither of you. It's going to you who I haven't called out yet because we had a better time. But like,
yeah, that's weird. That's so weird. I only caught it that time for some reason. Now that you mention, I think he has done that before. But
yeah,
like this
absolutely.
one, because I feel like it was just the music. Like there's like tension music because that there's a rivalry already with Brittany and Anna. I was like, oh, who's gonna get this rose? Like which one of them did better? And then he says Bree. I'm like, oh, that's kind of anticlimactic.
That's a curveball for you.
It was definitely a curveball, and that was basically the cocktail night. Nothing else really happened.
Oh, I don't think it was.
What else happened?
That was the night that they started calling Brittany out for her possible escort activities. And who other to start this insane rumor than the saltiest woman on earth, Anna? I mean, who else was going to start this rumor? Anna says that she's got messages to look out for this girl, and she's from Chicago and I'm from Chicago, but I don't know her. But all these people were sending me messages. Who was sending you messages about this girl? There's absolutely no way. Like, I can't wrap my head around this to think that there's any other possibility that Anna is just completely fabricating this, or like, I just, what do you think about this? I don't know.
So I think one of the previews before even the new girl, maybe once the new girls came out in one of the or maybe the preview to this episode, you saw like one. I think Victoria said, "Oh, she sells her body for money or something." So you kind of knew someone was going to be said that they did that kind of thing, did those kind of things, and like the way that it led up to Anna was just saying, "Oh, I know her from Chicago, but I really don't know her," to then it going to like, "Oh, these people texted me, to watch out for her, but I really still don't know her, like, whatever," to then it going like, "Oh, she's an escort." Like it just went like that. I was like, that was so like, if you knew that, or if you thought she was an escort, you would have told the girls right when you saw her, not like 2 or 3 days after, just because she's getting time with Matt and they seem to be clicking, that you got to ruin this girl's, life, maybe not life, but like ruin her chances of Matt. It was a very like, I feel like it's fabricated, like you said, and I think just the timeline doesn't match up because, like I said, if I knew some girl was an escort and I saw her, I'd be like, I think she's an escort, and I'd go right to Matt or maybe tell the girls that syrups and drama for the ratings. But yeah, I think it's fabricated. And I'd be interested to see how it goes when Matt actually finds this out.
Like, I thought the funniest thing about that was when she just mentioned that we're both from Chicago. Like, dude, Chicago's a big fucking city, bro. Not everybody in Chicago knows everybody else from Chicago. All right? Like, I mean, come on, like that's so stupid. And yeah, to your point, like there's to my point, I guess, who's messaging you this? Like, oh, I know you're from Chicago, so I don't know you either, but I'm gonna message you about this girl that is also from Chicago that I know from Chicago. Like, what, we got the Chicago network group chat going on? Like, what? This is complete bullshit. Brittany denies all allegations. I have no reason to believe that that's the case. Anna is, like I said, a freaking salt mine. She just gets pissed off and when anything doesn't go her way. And I love when things don't go Anna's way. I'm going to reiterate that point because when she gets salty, I get so happy. But yeah, so like that was just a completely unreal situation. And we can get into that a little bit for the end of the episode because that does kind of come back full circle. But let's get into the last group date, the boxing match that we have at the end of the episode. Let's hear your thoughts about that.
So there was a shirtless scene. I think there's going to be a shirtless scene every single episode this season.
Gotta love it. Gotta have it.
You gotta have it. And there's no reason not to have it.
Good looking dude.
He's a good looking dude. He's pretty chiseled. And he was working out, running up some hills with a couple rocks on the sled. He was doing the punching bags. So it was a great.
They had to make him look like he does that shit every day.
He's out in those woods every day, slinging rocks and punching bags. So that's how they wanted to showcase Matt's bod this week. I wonder how they're going to do it next week. But I was very excited for this match or this date. I mean, these girls have a lot of pent up anger.
Oh yeah.
And they were, I mean, I don't think they disappointed. And I know one girl really fucked up the other girl, and that was Katie. Katie was punching Jacinho just off of the mat. Like, it was a bloodbath. It was probably the best fight because she was just going pound for pound. And Katie was like, I have a lot of built up aggressive. I'm going to punch some people. And she did not disappoint.
Yeah, there were definitely a few one-sided matches there.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we have the name escapes me. Whoever like punched Serena, that was what we decided last time. Yeah, Serena. Whoever punched Serena in the nose completely like it ended the date. Like she punched her in the nose and they were like, we got to call this off. This is getting way too real.
Was that MJ?
No, it wasn't MJ. I was thinking it was Kayla, but it's not because she went home.
She went home.
Man, dude, so many names. Anyway, somebody punched Serena.
I remember that. I do remember
in the nose, and they had to call off the date. Serena's ice in her face. Matt's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like that looked insane, so brutal." I mean, what do you expect? You just picked a date where they're gonna fight each other. Like someone's probably gonna get hurt.
Right.
They were wearing their, face foam and whatever. But yeah, that was pretty wild. I'm surprised nobody walked out of there with CTE. But damn, what an event.
Was it No, Mario's on the first date. Man, I really want to know because I know Piper kind of got messed up too. I think maybe she was fighting MJ, and that was kind of a one. Piper, I don't think knows how to fight too well. I think MJ was kind of one-sided there
right now.
Who's the other? Rachel. Was it maybe Rachel?
Nope, it wasn't Rachel either.
Well,
I'm gonna get a list of names here.
Yeah, you do that, and I really wish, who I really wish was on this date was Victoria, because I know whoever would have fought Victoria,
they would have
put her on the.
They would have been going all out.
Would have put her on the ground, and she wasn't. None of the new girls were also in this date, which was kind of. I know a lot of the girls kept saying like, "Oh, I wish a couple new girls were in the date so I could, beat them up." But they were all OGs on this date.
All right, I'm gonna find the name of this girl.
I don't know who it would be, but because Mari won the first date. But while you find that, I know we kind of skipped over this, but
It was
Michelle
Lauren. It was Lauren.
Lauren. Who's Lauren?
It was Lauren.
Who is that?
I mean, Lauren.
Like, what she look like?
It was the one that had the conversation with him where they're like both super religious.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That was her. Okay, she messed her up.
Lauren was the one, punched Serena in the face, broke her nose in half. Maybe not, but like ended the date because shit got too real, and they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute, this might have been a bad idea."
Very bad idea for the girls that were very one-sided. But as I was saying, I think we kind of glossed over Michelle's day. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but the dinner portion, I want to just get back to the dinner portion because I think we're kind of done with the boxing date. I think it goes into like the cocktail date, and then that's kind of where things kind of start kind of towards the end of the episode and kind of the drama that ensues for the next episode.
Let's circle back. Our chronological order doesn't matter,
Right.
Talk about what's hot.
But we talked about Michelle a little bit with this zip lining. That's what they did, zip lining. I just thought of that when I bumbled everything else.
Did you say
when
hand
I first said
gliding?
It. I said a lot of things. I said about 4 different activities.
Wow.
I said about 4 different activities.
Yeah, definitely
but
not hand gliding.
They went zip lining, and then they went to the hot air balloon. So we kind of jumped around. But the zip lining, that was pretty cool. That would have been a fun date that I would really enjoy going on. And I think they both had a fun date or a time with that. And then the hot air balloon, Ryan touched on this, that they, put their lives on the line. And I do want to say this. Ryan did say this again about another girl that is not here.
Say her name. Just go ahead and say her name.
So you might not want to. So I'm actually going to say this. I'm going to say Michelle is going to be gone next episode because Ryan thinks she's an early favorite and that they spent their lives together. And
listen. Last episode, I said, I'm done calling way too early favorites. All I said was Michelle is looking like a possible favorite because she comes in out of nowhere and hits it off with them and they have a great time. They go, like I said, name a date that gets more romantic than riding in a hot air balloon. And then they're kissing and they're touching. I mean, they're in a hot air balloon. It doesn't get that's pinnacle romance.
You said that about a plane too. But I'm just saying you might want to take his saying with a grain of salt, guys. So really kind of watch out for her. She might be going home.
I'm not picking her favorite. I didn't say anything about her being my new early favorite. All right.
But we go into
you know what? You just stick with your boring ass Piper call.
Better.
Freaking take pictures with her camera. Whatever, dude.
Then we go into the dinner portion of Michelle's date. And I don't think we've seen a bad dinner portion of a one-on-one yet, but it's going to start coming. There's a lot of the one-on-ones kind of towards the end of the night with the dinners that they kind of show if they're compatible, if they can hold a conversation, if they can actually have dinner and actually talk. And there hasn't been a bad one, but I feel like there's going to be a bad one here soon because they all can't.
How great would it be if there was just one where like shit gets super awkward, but they gotta stay in the pocket and keep the date going, but like shit's just silent and like they run out of things to talk about, or one person says something that they love and the other person doesn't love that. It's just like super awkward because that's so real life.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like that's happening because there's been a couple dates like that in earlier seasons that just doesn't go that way, and that's the person actually goes home because they find out that they're not compatible. So I feel like all these perfect dates that Matt's gotten with the one-on-ones, with the dinner portion, and even the portion before that, I think a bad one's coming. Maybe not next week, but I feel like at least in the next couple episodes that one of these one-on-ones are not going to go as planned.
Yeah, well, if so, I am definitely looking forward to that because I love a good awkward situation. So if that happens, that would be great. I do want to say that after all the group dates and everything is when we see that real scenario where Victoria and Anna are like laying up in that bed, like just talking shit about people. And that's where I was first like, Oh my God, this is like classic Regina George and
Right.
Gretchen Wieners. I mean, Victoria is easily Regina George on steroids. It might be an insult to the Regina George character to even compare her to Victoria, but I mean, that's just the vibes they were giving off there. Just through my pen. But that was
Too passionate.
a noteworthy scene at the end there before we get into like that last cocktail party, and you can kind of go into where things got pretty heavy at the end there.
Yeah, so Michelle, of course, gets a rose. So she has a rose, and Chelsea has a rose.
Bree.
And Bree also has a rose. So those are the three people with roses. And then we go into the dinner portion, or the nightcap portion of the second date. And it's like I said, they were all OG they were all OG people. None of the new girls were on this date. So they actually kind of started by talking like, oh, I'm glad that all these girls are from the original people, blah, blah, blah. And then you can start, every time another girl talks, like MJ would talk, and then they'd show Katie, and then somebody else would talk, and then they'd show Katie again. So you knew something was building up, that Katie was going to actually say something. And then finally she just kind of starts to try to be devil's advocate. I think that's the adjective she uses, and says, oh, well, we got to put her, us in their shoes, and how would we feel if we were them, blah, blah, blah. And then they weren't really going for that. And of course, then she's like, okay, well, I got to go talk to Matt. And that's when everything kind of starts to forecast for the next episode. And she tells Matt all this stuff. And you can tell he's not happy. And he wants, because I think he remembers all this bullying that happened with Sarah. And now there's more bullying. Like, he's got to be thinking like, okay, I think he even said this, I need to get this stuff under control before, something really bad happens. And I don't know. I think Katie was the bigger person. I think she was right to do that. I know I said this to Cassidy last night when I was watching this. I really don't like it when the girls or guys takes their one-on-one time with Matt and talks about other girls. Like, you should focus on your relationship with Matt. I hate the people that, drama stirs like, oh, Luke said this about you, and, this guy says this about you, like Luke P did this, and, all this stuff. But you really need to focus on like your relationship and stuff. So I just remember a Hannah season, everyone talked about Luke no matter what happened on their one-on-one. And I don't know if that was smart for Luke, because he was getting talked about a lot during that episode or during that season. But I hate when people do that, because you need to focus on your own relationship. And I think she had every right to do this. I think it is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, and I think we kind of saw somewhat of a premonition to this last scene in that opening scene, because everyone's dogging on Sarah for all the shit that she did. She wasn't ready for this. I can't believe she left, blah, blah, blah. Right. Who's standing up for her but Katie, who also had that really deep combo with her and actually understood why she was leaving and all the family shit and everything. But who stands up for her other than Katie, of course, because Katie's a fucking G, a double G, as you say. So yeah, that kind of premonition into the last scene where she's trying, I think, with the group of girls to reason with them and cut out this bullying and be like, hey guys, we probably shouldn't be talking about people like this.
Right.
And we kind of, and even earlier in the episode, we kind of had a little bit of a scene with Katie and Brittany, where she's introduced to that rumor that was going around about the escort shit. So this kind of all leads into this last scene where, like you said, it just kind of all builds up, and then Katie decides to say something to Matt. And I agree with you. I think that has to be said, because it is getting pretty wild. People are just being dicks, and Victoria, of course, is leading the troops, and fucking Anna. But dude, this just solidifies my opinion about Katie, that she is a G. And you know what, dude? Please hold me to this. If Katie ever becomes the Bachelorette, I'm signing up. I am going to be on that season, because that girl is dope.
And you think like, and I think Cassidy even said this during one of Katie's moments, and like these producers are making sure that she looks like the most grounded individual that is there. And that could really be a setup for being the next Bachelorette if they chose somebody during this season. Because there'd probably be another couple of other girls that would be good for Bachelorette, but I think they're really eyeing in on Katie just being the most grounded, the most understandable. And if you want a Bachelorette, I think those are the attributes you look at. And I think there's a really good chance if she does not win, I think she might be the Bachelorette.
Dude, well, if she does, sign me
I'll
up. Do not let me not sign up. Hold me to it. Every 4 people who watch this BachPod, hold me to this. If Katie's the Bachelorette, I'm signing up. I'm going to be the first average-looking guy on the Bachelorette, and I'm going to eat it up. Because she is a dope-ass girl. She's very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
She comes in with the dildo. She's got jokes. I got jokes. So you know what, dude? Katie's a G, and that's where I'm gonna leave that. But like you said, that's kind of where the episode ends. Mm-hmm. We don't have much to go on after that. I mean, we definitely know we're gonna see this conversation come to a head. I think in the next episode, Matt's, I'm sure, going to confront the group about this, and I'm very excited to see how this is going to go. What you got? Any early predictions for our next episode?
So, because my early prediction for this episode worked out so well, but
global call.
I didn't see any of the previews right when the previews came on. I shut it off, so I really have absolutely no idea what to expect for this next episode. But I don't know if I want to make an early prediction, but if I do want to make a prediction, I think I would say Anna and Victoria finally get caught in this act of being really
mean girls
to the whole. I think they're going to, it's not really a scapegoat either, because it's kind of true, but I think they're going to get scapegoated with this. And I think those two both go home. That'll be my call. Both of them go home.
That's a bold prediction. I
go bold.
I think possibly one goes home, but in the producer standpoint, I feel like there's no way you can send both home. I think Anna's got to go. Like, first of all, so salty about her. I've been saying this all episode. She is just the salt queen. Oh, talk about a queen. Anna is the salt queen. And she really doesn't bring a lot to the whole episode, except for I'm sure I'm not the only one who enjoys seeing her get upset, but she's not bringing that mystery comment, sort of like, what in the world is she going to say this episode? Right. Stuff like Victoria has. I mean, Victoria is kind of just like we've been saying all season. She's views, man. I mean, and I said this last episode, if this is all an act, put her in the next Leo DiCaprio movie, because it's fantastic. But I think if one of those two goes home, it's going to be Anna. And I would love to see her reaction if that happens.
Right. I mean, just like picking apart of what I do know, Anna did, like I think I said this last week, did have a cutaway scene in the really beginning of the show. I feel like she might stay more so than Victoria. So if I had to pick one, I'll still stand by that they both go home. But I think Victoria's time is a brewing. I think they can't keep her on forever, because I know Matt's not clicking with her. So I think there's got to be a point in time that she gets the boot, and I think it's going to be earlier than other people, kind of like Luke, who made it to the Final Four, but we all knew he was fucking crazy.
We had to have him, though. We had to have him, dude.
But like Victoria, like a lot of drama, but it's not. I think it's different. And I think it's her time is coming pretty soon.
It might be. I don't think it's going to be this week. Like I said, I think Maggie is going to go home soon. I just really don't think they have much of a connection. You said Jasenia. Then now I'm going to say Anna. You're going to say Victoria maybe, or one of the two. Right. Either way. But hopefully Victoria figures out whatever's going on with her eye, dude. It looks like she got punched in the eye.
Pink eye or something.
Every episode, it's like her eye is just like, did you get like sucker punched? Like, what's going on?
And I said this last episode during the rose ceremony, she just like looked like death the whole time. And like when she doesn't have, maybe it's just without makeup, like she like literally has like pink eye, or like something is wrong with that eye. I don't know what's going
Get
on
this
with
girl some medical attention. No, we're assholes. But anyway, I think that kind of wraps up our latest episode. So we'll go ahead and close it out for there. Do you have any closing comments for the fans?
I think to watch out for Jasenia and Victoria to go home. I was right last week. Probably be right this week.
Not about one of your calls, but anyway, yeah. And I'll say, I think Maggie and Anna, I think are gonna get the boot next episode, so that's gonna be my bold call. And Katie's still a G. So
Double G.
We'll go ahead and close out on that. I hope everybody's enjoying the pod. Please feel free to leave a suggestion. If you hate it, tell us how to make it better. Or if you just hate us, just tell us, you know? But with that, we'll go ahead and close it out, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.